do it, but my cousin Kevin drove all the way down from Twin Falls, came and stayed here for a day with them, and drove them back up the next day. About 2 hours from their destination, Mom started feeling a lot of pain in her chest. So they figured they better pull over and call an ambulance. And as the EMTs took care of her at the ambulance, they decided to drive her to the airport to take a helicopter to Twin Falls in an air flight. But by the time the EMTs came back to tell Dad about Mom, of course, she was being flirtatious and spunky and flirting with all of the EMTs around there. In fact, she promised one of them a dance, and he said he was collecting. Upon arriving in Twin Falls, the helicopter was met by one of my cousins, Emily, who obviously was there for her father's funeral, and she helped Mom in. And during that time, I think my mom felt that she might be going, and started telling Emily that, and Emily said, well, say hi to my dad for me. And she says, oh, I've got to say hi to my sister, my father, my mother. She said, okay, Auntie Nola, as long as he's 12th in line, just say hi to my dad for me, please. She got into the emergency room and into her room, and again, flirting with the nurses and medical assistants and having fun, but one of them wasn't so lucky. As he went to stick the IV in her arm, he missed again and again and again. She says, okay, you're not cute anymore, you're fired. Some of you are probably not very surprised by these things. But she passed away at around 9:15. I'm not sure the exact time, but that's kind of when we were all texting and calling between us, with my dad by her side, as he always has been, rubbing her feet, kissing her on the cheek, as he always has. But let's remember some of her life. There's too much to cover. She lived a very full life, but I wanted to share some Nola-isms with you. Some of the friends and family members will be familiar with these. You ugly thing, you, could only mean that she loved you and had you close in her life. Or those long conversations on the phone where things were kind of winding down, she would just say, okay, I'm done with you, and hang up. Another one some of you will be familiar with is, and those were where she wanted kisses on the cheek and on the forehead. And of course, some of us got those. Haircuts were always a special event at our family, especially for the boys. We'd come in with a fresh haircut, and her favorite thing to say was, hubba hubba ding ding ding, baby, you got everything. And I was today years old when I still had that happening to me. And of course, being from South Africa, she brought a lot of words and language that we grew up with that nobody knew what the heck we were talking about when we would say some of those. But when she wanted to say, and this is a polite term for get out of here, footsack, you bliksem. That was one that she used to say. And came to find out when I was about 40 that those aren't really good words in South African language. But to me, it sounded like footsack. So when I was a young teen, I decided every time she said it, I was going to put a grocery bag around her foot and tie it really tight with a knot. So it would at least be a little effort for her to do that. So that kind of lasted until today years old. Mom was also quite the matchmaker. Over the years, she had a lot of students. We grew up with her voice and piano students in our house and at the university and wherever she was teaching. And she was always hooking them up with other people that she knew. Oh, you know who would be a great match for you? We called her Yenta from the Fiddler on the Roof for that.
That's one of the
Yeah,
things.
she loved to knit. She knitted several hats, clothes, blankets, and throws for our family, all while she was watching Dancing with the Stars in her bedroom. And yeah, so she did that. She was the planner and the organizer. Everything needed a plan. Everything needed a plan. Our vacations, Thanksgiving dinners. In fact, I remember a Thanksgiving dinner in Logan where we had a lot of family coming in, and we had reserved the cultural hall for the event. And she made, of course, the food assignments to everybody in the family who was to bring what and how it was to be made, and turned the page, and she had a map of how she wanted the cultural hall laid out, hand-drawn, down to the place setting and who was sitting at which spot on there. And we weren't allowed to vary. So to this day, her pantry has everything labeled, every container, every bucky, as she calls a container. And I'm pretty sure they're in alphabetical order as well. She was the dancer, and anytime she could, she would show you that she could still point her toe like a ballerina and say, "See, I've still got it." One of those times, when I was a teenager and we were still living in California, she was on the porch showing us how she could do the can-can, and she couldn't. She tore her ACL and ended up getting surgery on that knee. Another wonderful memory growing up, we always had a cooked breakfast. It was very seldom that we got to eat cereal, cold cereal, which that was a bummer when we were kids, but we didn't realize scrambled eggs, bacon, fried eggs, pancakes, waffles, French toast, Abel Skeevers. She made it all for breakfast. And if we did get to eat cereal, had to have a nice heaping spoon of wheat germ on top of it. Wheat germ. But she also went through a kick, probably 1987, 88. So I was a junior, senior in high school, and I don't know if Delinda's going to remember this. Yes, you do. I woke up one morning at about 4 a.m. to my smeller, and woke up. My mom had been reading a book on nutrition and breakfast being the best meal of the day and needed to be a best meal. And I woke up to a roast beef in the oven with roasted potatoes, vegetables, bread. I mean, the works. And we woke up at 6:30, just waking up, and had a full-on Sunday dinner. The next day it was turkey, and I don't remember for the rest of the days, and that lasted about a week because we just couldn't handle being woken up to the smells in the morning. But it was that kind of care that she put into the family. Music. If there was another love in my mom's life outside her family, it was music. Her entire life centered around music. From a young age, growing up in South Africa, she performed. I think she was 3 or 4 years old when she was performing on stage for the first time. She even sang in radio commercials when she was young, and that lasted throughout her life. She studied and graduated from BYU with a music degree. She taught at a junior high school in Southern California, where she met my dad, and they fell in love. All throughout our lives as we were growing up, as I mentioned, there was always piano lessons, singing lessons going on all afternoon at our house while we were out playing in the street. She was doing singing lessons and piano lessons. She held summer camps for music. She did that a couple years, probably when I was around 14 or 15. I decided to join that year, which could have been influenced by a girl who was also going to that class, but they were fun as she was, and just always doing something. When we were a lot younger, she directed a road show and basically a play on stage when we were growing up in Southern California, and she did it on the Black Swan but kind of modernized, complete with the Bee Gees remake of Staying Alive was Staying Afloat. And it was a hit. There was hundreds of people there for the performance, and they just did amazing. She was able to see color in music, and I never really understood that, but she could see hues of color when she was listening to music. And for those of you who remember, she had a beautiful, powerful soprano voice and performed often and in many different places all around the world. When you walked into her office, there was always stacks of music that she was pouring over, programs to organize, etc. Just music was everything to her. And it's made that kind of difference in all of our lives as well, as music is very important to us. The death of a loved one tends to make us protagonize the deceased in order to feel comfort for our loss. As friends and family, we're dealing with all the emotions. Our mom definitely had many things that made her fun to be around. Those of us in her family knew, and also that there were some tougher things to deal with Mom. She had a clear concept of what she considered right and wrong, good and bad. The beliefs that she had of those things made it difficult to be open to others' ideas, not just in gospel principles, but even in things like music genres, sports, people's dress, makeup, how to raise kids. And as we became adults and started raising kids of our own, she struggled to let us do that in our own way. She struggled to let go of the proverbial reins of our lives and that of our grandchildren, or of her grandchildren. We, as her children, have had to struggle with those things during our adult lives. We loved her deeply, but didn't always get along. That was really difficult to deal with. Sounds like family, huh? Dad has always been by Mom's side to defend her and also be that cushion to the blow between us. He, I guess, was the NOLA whisperer. Regardless, we all grew up knowing that she wanted to do good. She wanted to be perfect. We also knew that the most important thing in her life was God, her Savior Jesus Christ, and her family. As we remember Nola Collier today, I hope we most remember how she had the ability to light up a room when she came in. You could see it in a restaurant, in a church congregation, a choir she was directing, or a class she was teaching. She had a true gift to make people feel happy and motivated to do great things. Last Friday, this earth lost a little light, and heaven was granted that light. And finally, their head choir director came back to put things in order. I can't wait to hear that choir.